Hello friends, welcome back. I'm Beth, here to help you fulfill your potential in meditation. As most of you know, I don't have just one method that I teach to everybody, like one size fits all. Instead, I much prefer to teach people one-on-one. And the reason is that you're all different. So please use these videos as a guideline. And if there's anything that isn't quite working for you or anything that doesn't quite fit, then be in touch and I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you one-on-one. Today's video is about learning to discern past, materiality and mentality. So obviously this is materiality and mentality that arose in the past. Now this is a really important part of what we call Paccaya Parigraha Jnana, or learning to understand the causes and conditions. Now the reason is that when we are looking at the causes and conditions for present materiality and mentality, what we find is that some of those causes lie right here, right now, in this present moment. Some of the causes lie in this lifetime, and some of the causes lie in past lifetimes. So if we want to be able to discern all of the causes and conditions for materiality and mentality, it's really important that we can discern that past materiality and mentality so that we can discern the causes and conditions over time. So, what do we do if we want to discern this past materiality and mentality in practice? Well, a good place to start is to re-establish our concentration. So if you've already practiced the jhanas, then you can re-establish your jhana concentration. If not, then you will need a very deep and stable access concentration. Once we've re-established our concentration, we then want to review our discernment of present materiality and mentality. So we want to be sure that we can clearly discern the Calapas arising and passing away in our body, and also that we can clearly discern those mind moments arising and passing away in the mind. When we feel confident with our discernment of present materiality mentality, we then want to do what I would call an atypical meditation. So we want to do something in our meditation that we wouldn't usually do. Now, I'll give an example, but you can do something else if you want. The most important thing is that it's a type of meditation that you wouldn't usually do. So, for example, you could spend 3 minutes in the first jhana, 4 minutes in the second jhana, 5 minutes in the third jhana, back to 4 minutes in the second, then 3 minutes in the first. So a type of meditation that you wouldn't normally do. When you've done that meditation, that atypical meditation, you again want to bring your attention to the heart until you can clearly see those mind moments arising and passing away. And then you want to incline your attention towards the past and see if you can discern the mentality that was arising in that atypical meditation. So can you see the mind moments that were arising when you were in the first jhana, when you were in the second, when you were in the third for a few minutes, in the second again, in the first? Can you discern that recent past mentality clearly? Now it might take you a few goes before you get the hang of discerning that recent past mentality. And if at any time you need to re-establish your concentration before you start again, then please do so. So if you need to spend a little longer in jhana, for example, before you do this practice again, then just re-establish your concentration, then try again. Now, after several goes, we should become confident discerning that recent past mentality. When we're confident discerning that recent past mentality, we can then try to go a little bit further back. So for example, can we discern the mentality that was arising just before the meditation sitting? Can we discern the mental practice, the mental process that saw the meditation cushion, or the mental process that was walking us towards the cushion? Can we discern the mental process when our hand touched the door handle to open the door? What about a little bit earlier in the day, maybe when we were eating breakfast? Can we discern the mind moments that were arising then? When we feel confident going a little further back, then we can start jumping. What about the mind moments that were arising yesterday, 3 days ago, 5 days ago, 1 month ago? When we feel confident jumping back, we can go even further. What mentality was arising 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when we were a child, when we were a baby? And as we keep on discerning backwards, we will be able to find the mentality that was arising when we were in the mother's womb. Now, there's nothing different to do here other than keep on discerning that past mentality, keep on going backwards. And at some point, as we go backwards more and more, we will no longer be in the mother's womb, we will be in the first past life. We will be discerning the mind moments of the past life. Now, when we feel confident discerning that past mentality, we can then do the same thing with materiality. Can we discern the Calapas that were arising when we were doing that atypical meditation? What about the Calapas when we were walking towards the meditation cushion? What about when we were having breakfast earlier in the morning? What about yesterday, 1 week ago, 1 month ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? What about the Calapas that were arising in the mother's womb? Again, we don't need to do anything different. We just keep on discerning back, that past materiality, and eventually we will be seeing the Calapas from the past life. Now, usually it's quite obvious when we change from seeing the materiality and mentality in this life in the mother's womb to seeing the materiality and mentality in the past life. And the reason is that as we discern back through the time in the mother's womb, the body is getting smaller and smaller. So we're seeing fewer and fewer and fewer Calapas. Now, when we go back at some point, it will become the end of the first past life. So all of a sudden, the body will become big again. We will no longer be in the mother's womb. We will be a fully formed being at the end of the first past life. Similarly, with the mind, when we're in the mother's womb, the mind is getting more and more and more gentle as we go back. And usually when we cross over into the end of the first past life, the mind becomes coarse again, because at that time we're dying. So oftentimes it is a very coarse mentality at the end of the first past life. Now, you can go back even further if you want further into that first past life, second past life, if you want third past life. You can go back as far as it interests you. So that's what I have to say today on discerning past materiality and mentality. It's a fascinating practice, but also it's a fundamental part of us being able to discern the causes and conditions clearly. Now, I'm going to make separate videos on how to discern those causes and conditions. So how we discern the causal relationships between that past materiality and mentality and the present materiality and mentality that's arising now. They are causally linked. So that's all I have to say for today, and what I would suggest is that you get off of those screens, get onto the meditation cushions and actually give the practice a go. If there's anything that's confusing for you or anything that's not working, then be in touch and I'll be more than happy to discuss those things with you one-on-one. As most of you know, I do all of my work on a donation basis, so I encourage you to support me either through my website or through Patreon so that I can continue to make these videos. Thank you so much for your support. Wishing you the best with your meditation.